Hello everybody, welcome back to another weekly market review for F45Trading.com. This week I will be giving you my thoughts on May 11th to the 15th. So last week all of the fireworks pretty much commenced with some interesting results on the dollar and on euro and GBP, the cable. Obviously, there were some pretty massive news announcements for those markets, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But just before we get into that, as always, let's just run into the economic calendar here for what's ahead. And pretty decent news events, nothing too major. I would certainly keep an eye on, obviously, Fed Chair Powell speaking on Wednesday, of course, could throw the market around a little bit. Probably nothing too serious. But we get right into it on Tuesday with a couple high-impact news events for the U.S. dollar, CPI and core CPI. Again, they're obviously predicting more bad numbers coming right across the board. And if you look at the entire week, for every single pair that's reporting major economic activity, between the US dollar, Aussie, GBP, Euro, and everyone else in between, you can see all the numbers are pretty much bad right across the board. I don't expect any of these numbers to continue to improve anytime soon. So obviously, we're still going to be in the middle of this chaos here until things start to get back to normal, which, who knows when that's going to be. My thoughts personally, probably third quarter, maybe after the US election, maybe even into the fourth quarter. We'll probably start to see some normalcy back into the markets. But anyway, that's down the road, and this is this week here. So keep an eye on Tuesday, New York Open for two high-impact US dollar news events. And then we've got early morning Wednesday, London Open prelim GDP for the pound sterling. And then we've got some medium-impact news events for US dollar later in the day. And then we've got Fed Chair Powell speaking. And then we've got Australian dollar news, employment and unemployment rate. Keep an eye out on this one. Obviously, they're predicting, again, more bad news, worse numbers than the previous report. So this should move Aussie on Wednesday. Keep an eye on that going into pre-London Open. And then Thursday, we've got Bank of England governor speaking. A couple medium impact news events for US and CAD, and then we've got Governor Pohl speaking for the Canadian dollar, and then Friday we're wrapping up with some German prelim GDP numbers for the euro and core retail sales and retail sales meeting minutes for the US dollar. So all in all, it should be a pretty good week shaping up. No major landmines that we got to be too concerned about. But as always, keep your eyes on the economic calendar just in case, so you see some market fluctuations so you're not surprised and wondering where they're coming from. So let's get into the dollar. Obviously, still in a consolidation. Story of our life since the 30th of May, basically. So all of April and so far most of May, we have been in, or all of May, I guess, up until the 10th, we've been in this consolidation. This could keep continuing. So just so you guys know, I think they're coiling price up. Obviously, it's going to move. And when it moves, it's going to be more than, it's not going to be this, I don't believe, where we see a big move down and then a big move up and a big move down again. I believe we're going to see where the intended direction is, and I think that's going to be the course of the rest of the year. Me personally, that's what I believe. They're really coiling price. They're coming down. They're getting smaller and smaller and smaller ranges. Eventually, this thing's going to break out, and I think when it does, we're going to see the nature of the beast and where she wants to go, and then we can finally get into a trending market. So until then, keep your trade size relatively lower and just anticipate smaller ranges, which we're obviously getting now. U.S. dollar non-farm last week, I was really hoping price was going to come up and sweep above these highs here and then reject. Or even go higher, really doesn't matter to me. I was just really hoping they would have come up and taken out these highs here. Obviously failed to do that. We came up into a very lightly traded area in terms of where price reacted. We see big gaps in here where the candles are. We traded up there once on Thursday, and then Friday traded away immediately. And now we're at the time of this recording, as always, Sunday evening. So markets have been open now for about 5 or 6 hours, and we're starting to see the market sell off again. Now, what I'm looking for the US dollar to do is come back down and rebalance off of the high of this candle here. Where it goes from there, I don't know. Do we get a bounce? More than likely, we'll probably continue in the range. But I'm looking to see price come down and trade back down to this line right here, essentially. I'll give you guys a level on the... so about 99.20 is where I'm looking for them to come back down to. We're currently 99.70, so there could be a little bit of an avenue of opportunity for some longs on some euro and cable and some other pairs. Aussie for a couple of longs as price is moving down here. Now, what we do once price gets here, I don't know. Do we continue lower, taking out these relatively equal lows? Possibly. Do we bounce? Maybe try to make a run for these highs? Possibly. We're right in the middle here, folks, and price has been rebounding. So right now, the condition is you buy the lows, you sell the highs when you're in consolidation. So obviously, we would have been selling highs when price got up to here, sold. We're buying lows when price gets down to here, buying. So when price comes down to here, more than likely, it's probably going to bounce. Now, we could get it wrong, certainly, and price could keep falling lower. That's the chance you take when you trade in consolidations. But for right now, we're right in the middle of the range. I'm looking for price to come back down here. I'm expecting that Monday, Tuesday, maybe Tuesday making the low of the week, and then Wednesday, Thursday trading higher. I don't know. Possibly we could trade right through this range here. It'd be nice if they did trade through this range and finally take the liquidity under here. Now, they just briefly did that a week ago here. Low came at 98.76, and these lows in here, you can see the bottom of my screen, and 98.81. So just came down by a couple of pips on this candle here. Big, strong rejection. So anyway, if we do get this lower run in dollar, we should, as I say, see a higher run in euro. So my target on euro would be in this range here, pretty much right above this candle high I like, somewhere to that candle low. That would be kind of the area that I'd be looking for a target on euro. So right around the 109.30 level, I think would be a pretty realistic objective. Currently trading 108.40, so a little under 100 pips from now. Again, we're just failing to make these lows. We made a deep low here, failed to make a low, ran that low out, immediately rejected, came back down, failed to make a low, and so again, as US dollar, I think it's going to come down into this range here. It should give us a pretty decent push up higher on euro. Do we take out this high and keep running for this high? That'll be the million-dollar question when we get there, and we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I would anticipate more than likely probably a bounce, and I just think it's going to take something fairly major to jostle this thing loose here. But when we see it, it's going to move, and don't be surprised when it does happen. But it's prices coiling up, and they're putting their positions in now, folks. They're going to get ready to make their move, and I don't think it's going to be too much longer of a wait. I hope it's not anyway. So again, looking for higher prices on euro. 109.30 would be my level that I'm looking for. Do we go higher than that? Well, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. What I would like to see, though, is, as you can see, we had a real tight range on last Friday. I'd like to see if we could even come back down a little bit, maybe into this range here. It'd be great if price would come back down and give us another run, crack at 107, 108. That would be excellent, in my opinion. Basically, just a return back down to this consolidation level. I would really think that they would give us a great entry if we got something like that, and then price were to bounce higher. So I'm going to be looking for that on euro. It may not. We did drop down as soon as market opened on Sunday on this candle here and rejected immediately and went straight higher. So quite likely we'll probably just kind of come back down to around this range here, and then more than likely we'll make another run higher. But I'll be watching the 108 level all the same to see if we can get a run back up. And, we're not too far away. It's 108.40. If price does come down and doesn't want to go any lower, it gapped and then it ran the gap immediately and kept on going. So if we don't want to go any lower than 108.40s, 108.30s, chances are it won't get down to here then, and you can probably get long. But watch this area in here. I'd be very interested to see them come back down and recapitalize this little range in price here. So, and then hopefully we'll see some higher prices. You can have a pretty tight stop, because if it runs this low here, something else is going to happen and they're going to do something else with it. I don't believe we need to go much lower than there. I think we've we came down, ran higher, came back down again. I think the next move is, again, trading consolidations, running higher. GbpUsd, again, same tight range as the euro, nothing different here. Hasn't taken, I got these highs on my radar screen up here. I've got these equal lows on my radar screen down here. So there's lots of areas where price can go. I was really, really hoping they would have made a run for this high here at the end of April there, but you can see we came in just short, 26.47, call it. And this high here was 26.43, so missed it by about 4 pips. So I hope we get a decent runner and price runs up into this range here this week. I'm still going to be watching for it. Does it happen? I don't know. Very nice traded price in here. Explosive movements to the upside every time price is running. So again, I'd like to see just a nice rebalance lower. Do we get under this low here? I'll be watching that area here to see if we can run back down here and possibly catch a long. Don't want to see price go lower than here on GBP, but if it does, we can target ranges down here, and then possibly, if that all happens, then US dollar maybe making a move higher. We'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. But I'd certainly like to see higher prices on cable, and I'd like to see them start to trade up into this area, up into here. At the very least, these highs. See this candle high, that candle high, that candle high. I want to see them take that out and get up into this range here. Do we make a run for here? Very possible. I don't think they're going to take it out. I hope I'm wrong, because we got to trade these consolidation plays. But we'll see what they want to do. So see if we can get a long. If price wants to come down here, I'd be looking for longs. Don't want to see price come down here. If it does, obviously, like I say, I'll be targeting down here for a possible run lower. Euro GBP is really really miserable in here, and you can see the manipulation between euro and cable. With Euro GBP here, you see these big long wicks coming in, these quick sudden runs and then sharp moves lower, quick sudden runs and sharp move lower. We hit we took out some major areas here the other week and ran those lows and had an immediate reaction higher. And we did see last week, I was calling price to come up above this high here. We got that right here on this candle. It didn't go as deep as what I would like it to have gone, but nonetheless, we did see that run up into that area, exact area that I was looking for, which corresponded to lower cable, which is what I was discussing with you guys. You guys can go back to the recording from last week and you can see exactly I mentioned that. Same thing with euro. Everything played out exactly as I mentioned it, and then now we're just kind of sitting in this range here. So, what do we do with this pair? You can see the long extended consolidation. Like I say, we had that brief run lower right here, scooping up that liquidity. Price really hasn't wanted to go anywhere. So the longer they move this thing sideways, the longer they're going to have free will to manipulate Euro, USD, and GBP in the same direction. I'd like to see them run these highs out. I'm going to drag and extend these guys out here. Let me just put this chart shift on, and I want to drag this high out here because I think that's still on the radar screen. The lows were taken. I believe the next logical area would be to zip it higher. If it does push it higher, it would have to probably consolidate cable and let Euro USD run higher. That would all depend, though, of course, on the US dollar running lower. Okay, so keep your eye on Euro GBP, and we'll see what we get this week. UsCad is again same topic with UsCad. We've been consolidating, going straight sideways. Last week we did have a pretty nice run on UsCad. Look at these highs. Price was moving. It was a couple hundred pips for last week. You can see that, just about 250 pips to the upside, and then just as many pips straight down Thursday and Friday. Very, very impressive movement on UsCad. You can see they just grabbed that old high there from the week and then sunk price. Now, what do we do here? Again, USCAD has kind of been doing its own thing, independent of the US dollar. So this again is attributed largely in part by the price of crude oil. So stronger crude oil gets, which we've been seeing a bit of a run, weaker USCAD is going to get. And you can see we had some strength in the price of crude oil towards the end of last week, and you can see this corresponding drop in USCAD. So if that continues, I would highly expect them to run out these lows here. Is it going to be a long-term drop lower? Probably not. Will they drop it down, scoop the lows, and run higher? More than likely. I would anticipate, again, until we see some major shifting in the markets, we're probably going to see continuation sideways on USCAD. And again, what do we do in consolidations? We buy the lows and sell the highs. So I'm looking for price to come down. Hopefully, like I say, hopefully I'm looking for these lows to get run, but I'm not looking for them to come down and fill this gap in yet. I'll extend this out because we need to keep it on our charts and keep that relevant. I don't think they're going to get price all the way down here, but I would anticipate a run just below these lows here and then a sharp rejection higher. If that happens, we could see US dollar run down to the 99.20 level here, hopefully gain some support and then shoot higher, and then that would again take US CAD back up. But this again is all dependent on crude oil, which I'll talk about here in a minute. So Aussie dollar, man, this thing has just been doing whatever it wants. I mean, you can see this big uptrend on US dollar, on Aussie, and while the dollar has been in consolidation. So the dollar should be, as it's consolidating, this pair should be consolidating as well, and you can see it's just not wanting to do that at all. Very, very strong price action. We started off the week Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sideways, doing absolutely nothing. And you can see they just have zero willingness to go lower. Price has been supported right off of these old highs in here and not wanting to go lower whatsoever. And then Thursday, Friday, a couple of big moves out of the gate and sent it straight up about close to 200 pips. I'm in full anticipation they're probably going to run this high here and possibly even this high this week. What I would like to see them do is come back down and rebalance down to the bodies of those candles again, right in here, and then run higher. That's what I'm looking at on Aussie. So we do on Aussie have some news coming up. Bring that up again. We have employment change and unemployment rate on Wednesday. So there is a chance if they don't take out this high rate away, there is a chance we could come back down and see them. Let me go to a 4-hour. Looks a little nicer there. And see them come back down and rebalance off of these highs in here. I'd hope they would do that. They definitely don't have to. Price is fairly efficiently traded in through here, but I would like to see them trade back lower, rebalance, possibly Wednesday, and then the rest of the week shoot higher. Hopefully take out this high, and as I said, maybe even that high there. So that's what I'm looking at for Aussie. And that's it for Forex. Real quickly, I'm going to look at crude oil and gold, and I'll wrap this one up. Gold's going to be quick. I'll just talk about that real quickly here. Again, we've been sideways and consolidating ever since the first part of April. We hit that high April 14th, and then price has been going absolutely nowhere ever since. We've been failing to go lower than the highs of these candles here. They rebalanced once, rebalanced twice, and we've just been sitting in a very, very tight range. I think as long as US dollar continues to sit in that range, we're probably going to see the same on gold. But keep in mind, they're not going to keep it like this forever. They will eventually launch price, and I think there's a good chance we're going to see much, much higher prices on gold. So what do we do in the meantime? Well, we saw price stab down here once, and then ever since then, we've failed to make a lower low. I like to see that. However, what I'd really like to see them do is dive below this line right here. So 1640, I'd like to see them come down, and that's basically all these lows right under here. So I'm going to be watching on gold this area right here. If we can see if we can get a rebalance back into there. I'm bullish gold long term. I think we're going to be at the end of the year much, much higher on gold. I'd like to see them come down and sweep all these areas under here one quick time. Is it going to happen this week? I have no idea. Next week? Don't know. Sometime this month? Hopefully. But this is what I'm looking for on gold. So long-term bullish. I'm definitely not going to get into any positions on gold until I see it come down into this area. or we significantly break above here, then I'll look at possibly taking a position on a retest. But other than that, I think I'm going to stay out until we see one or the other. So that's gold. Crude oil. Crude oil, they really pushed crude oil higher last week. You can see this. I'll put the day dividers on here, which you can see this was all last week's trading. Big move up from the mid-teens on crude oil. Moved almost $10 higher, which is very, very impressive if you consider what that market has been doing lately, i.e. getting crushed. So I like to see the positive momentum out of there. However, I think it's going to be short-lived. I don't personally believe we're going to send this thing up into the $30 mark or anything like that. A lot of economists and forecasters are saying, low to mid-20s for the remainder of the year. Maybe next year we'll start climbing up into the 30s. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. All I know is, looking at price action, I see all these equal lows right under here, and my eye immediately gets drawn to that, down to about the $16 mark, high 16s, low 17s. I think there's a real possibility they're going to bring price down, and they've just been really ugly price action to finish off last week, where the start of the week, it was beautiful, just straight up out of the gate. Monday, Tuesday, great price action, nice higher, quickly moving market. And then we saw price fail to go anywhere from there. They just barely, I'm going to borrow this line here, just barely failed to make it above this high here. They came and crouched up onto it here, and then price, just straight down. This is a 4-hour chart, so the rest of the day it just smashed down. Big gap higher, and then it didn't go anywhere. So very, very interesting. There's a lot of grumblings on the geopolitical front about possible conflicts going on in the Middle East. Those are always going to happen. The U.S. apparently is pulling some of their missile systems out of Saudi Arabia, which they're going to get replaced with obviously different systems. But that's something kind of interesting. They're always grumbling about Iran. There's tensions between the U.S. and China. It's just on and on and on. What is it going to do to this market? It's anybody's guess. But looking at this price chart, if this is the only information we had in hand, I would expect them to run these lows here. We could slightly pop above these highs. I don't, like I say, foresee it going into the 30s. If it does, I'm wrong. Not a problem there. But I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to leave this gap open for the next foreseeable future, i.e. the summer months anyway, and then we'll see where they're at. I believe personally, first quarter of next year, we're going to see a bull market on crude. I think the rest of this year they're just going to be trying to recover, whatever that may look like off of what's going on. And you think about it, folks, and I'm going to wrap this up right now. The world is just starting to move again, and we're still seeing massive amounts of storage. Now, here's the thing. Production is starting to get shut in. And what I mean by that is they're starting to turn off some of the wells. They're starting to turn off some of the facilities that are producing these massive quantities of oil. And when demand picks up again, and it will, people are going to start flying again, cars are going to start driving again, people are going to start, transporting a ton of goods over the ocean, diesel fuel, everything, manufacturing is going to start kicking in again. It will. It's not an if, it will. The delay on crude oil that's going to be felt, it's going to be a little while until they start going through that storage. But once they start going through that storage, then production is going to be required again. And these plants and facilities and wells and everything that they've been shutting in, they don't start up in a second, by flicking a switch. It's not like a light bulb. It takes quite some time to get these facilities going again. And you got to think, you got to rehire people because there's a ton of layoffs. You got to do maintenance on them because they haven't ran in a while. There's a lot of stuff that goes behind it. And when that happens, I believe there's going to be a delay, and there's going to be a shortage in, if you can believe it, there's going to be a shortage, I believe, and I think that's going to send price screaming higher. But I don't foresee that, like I say, until next year. Definitely not until the U.S. elections, and certainly not until all this COVID garbage goes away and we start getting back to a normal functioning economy globally again. Anyway, sorry for the little rant. I had to get that off my chest, but that's just my thoughts on oil. And I think going forward this week, my eyes are coming down here. It may not hit it this week, but I am certainly looking for price to sell off this week. We almost had it last week. I was looking at this, and then Friday came in and just gapped straight above. I was looking for a return up into this area, and look what they're doing on this. They're failing to go any higher than there. So far, they're failing to get above this last candle high here. If I can get this line. Sorry, guys. Sometimes MT4. So we all know what we're talking about here. So prices come up once, come up twice, and so far it's failing to go above there. What I'd like to see is one quick shot above these highs here, and then a drop lower, fill this gap in, and then price to come all the way down and possibly run these lows. So that's what I'm looking at on crude oil. I would also consider looking at it if it came straight above these two highs and rejected and turtle souped and went lower. That's another matter, though. We'll have to see what happens. I'm watching price here going into Monday to see what we get. But I'm looking for lower prices on crude oil. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the week ahead. Take it easy, guys, because again, we are still in the consolidation. So, you know, if you get into a move and the move runs in your favor, 20, 30, 40, 50 pips, take it. Take it, be happy, wait for the next decent move to come up. You know, these days right now of getting 200-300 pips in a day, like when we saw this crazy price action right here, you know, that's going to return again, I believe, but until then, we got to be happy with shorter ranges and capture those pips a lot quicker, and make sure you're moving your stops to break even a lot earlier than you normally would. Stay profitable, and that's the name of the game. So, okay, folks, thanks for watching. Again, I'll be back next Sunday for everybody, offering this free market review, and for all of my members of F45, we will see you guys in the chat room tomorrow. Have a great week of trading, everyone. Talk to you later.